Hi friends, my name is Victoria and welcome back to another video where I aggressively defend something that was never really under attack in the first place. Have you guys heard of Disney adults? They're basically commonly known as like grown adults who have no business being as obsessed with Disney stuff as they are. Well, one fun thing about me is that despite being a teenager, I actually already am one of these. Like, I can just kind of see the direction my life is headed currently, and if I'm not dead, I will be unnecessarily into this as a homeowning taxpayer. So that's pretty cool. While I wouldn't say I'm at Disney adult level yet, I think I'm kind of close. I don't go to the parks a lot because they are kind of pricey, but I think I'm fortunate enough to go more than most people I know, and what I haven't learned about the parks from personal experience, I've learned from a scary amount of books and documentaries and YouTube videos about the hidden secrets of Disneyland or whatever the heck. My point here is I think I'm pretty familiar with the parks, and that's why I can say with complete confidence that Cars Land is the best thing to have ever come out of any of them. If you're unfamiliar, Cars Land is a themed area in Disney's California Adventure Park that is entirely dedicated to the Cars franchise. You might recall I'm a bit obsessed with the Cars franchise. Could you say that makes me biased? Definitely, but I'm still right. I just want to use my time today to talk about this magical place and some features of it that maybe tend to get overlooked. I was originally going to make this video about why I thought Cars Land was better than Avengers Campus, and then I realized that I technically have not been to Avengers Campus, and so that maybe wouldn't be nice of me. So this is the plan instead, and if you're interested, you can join me. Let's go. So one of my favorite things about Cars Land is that it looks like it's straight out of the movie, like it looks exactly like Radiator Springs, which is the fictional town where the little guys live. With other themed places like Galaxy's Edge, which I actually have been to, and Avengers Campus, they're not derived from one particular location, like they're more themed around the entire franchise, which makes sense because they're huge, but I think it's something that makes this place a whole lot cooler. The attention to detail here is just hecking insane. Like, places like the Cozy Cone Motel seem like exact replicas, which I'm sure is the goal, but I just think it's insanely awesome. I'm really amazed by it at a fairly old age, so I can't imagine what the experience must be like for like little kids who are really into the films. There are like complete 20-minute walkthroughs or whatever on YouTube if you ever want to look into it more intensely, but ultimately it's visually magical. Now, while looks are really important to me in the context of theme parks, I don't think my attention could be fully captured if it wasn't for the existence of the rides, or if the rides weren't promising, I guess. But luckily, Cars Land offers 3 rides that are all super good times, and one of them is actually some of Disney's best work ever, so let's take a look. The first ride in terms of location is Mater's Junkyard Jamboree, and it's a lot of fun. It is a whip ride, which is something I just learned because I've been calling any ride with like seats in an open space a teacup ride, so I was educated. But you basically just sit in a little tractor and it spins you around and Mater serenades you, and it's actually a lot of fun. It's not an intense or scary thing, but if you're a Mater stan, then it's the place to be. Okay, the second ride is Luigi's Rollickin' Roadsters. It used to be Luigi's Flying Tires, but it's essentially the same thing. I have to say, before I get to like the ride, this is another aspect of the land that is just visually stunning. Like, it's really accurate to the films. It makes me really happy. Anyways, this is a trackless ride where you sit in little spinning, dancing cars. It's a lot of fun. It's pretty similar to the Mater one, I guess, except it's even less scary. You kind of just sit there, but that doesn't mean it's bad. I'm not expecting like Six Flags type stuff. I personally am a big fan of spinning colorful vehicles, so it's another very pleasant experience for me. If, however, you're looking for something that is more McQueen speed, allow me to introduce you to one of the best things that has ever happened to me, Radiator Springs Racers. This was the most expensive ride at the resort at one point. It might still be. It cost over $200 million, and while I don't really know what goes into the ride creation process, I would say this is fair pricing, judging by how astounding the ride is. It takes you on a wonderful adventure with characters from the movie, and then you have an awesome race, and it's the best thing ever. You start out with a little cruise around the gorgeous valley while the best song from the soundtrack, McQueen and Sally by Randy Newman, plays. Then you almost get into several car crashes, but don't worry, they're fun. And then Mater takes you tractor tipping, which has become a pretty significant trait for him for some reason. After that, you go into town, which honestly isn't that impressive when you've already seen it like to scale outside, but it's still fun. Sally and McQueen say hi, which is honestly one of the best parts about the ride because you barely ever see Sally in the second place. That's like my one complaint about Cars Land, and I already made a whole video about like how I thought she was treated throughout the franchise, but it's disappointing. I'll talk about it later. Okay, after this, you make a little pit stop and you either get your tires or your paint changed, and it's really cool. And then you finally get to race. And it's not fast to the point that like you think you're gonna die, but it's a fun little rush for sure. And here's the thing, they say it's randomized, but I don't lose, so you can believe what you will. Anyways, I love that ride, and it seems like many others do because the line's always like 3 hours long. But you've now been introduced to every ride at Cars Land, which are obviously the larger components, so we can kind of move on to other smaller stuff. I'm not a food critic, but I do want to kind of touch on Flo's V8 Cafe because I think it's really cool. One, obviously, physical appearance is insane. This is something that matches the movie super well and is insanely impressive at night, especially. But also, like, the food is good. It's a diner type place, so there's cute little burgers and chicken strips and stuff, and that's my kind of food. Also, depending on where you sit, you can see cars coming down from Radiator Springs Racers and like look at the little valley, so it's cute. Also, Cozy Cone Motel isn't like a restaurant, but they offer snacks in cones, and that makes me smile, so good for them. I don't know what to say about the gift shop places other than that they sell stuff, so I would say the last thing I have to review is the character interaction in Cars Land, because I don't know how to tell you guys this, but cars are real, and you can talk to them in Cars Land, and they like drive down the street and everything. And don't try to tell me there's a little human in the car, because there isn't. It's just the soul and the spirit of the car, and that's all, and it's magical. My one issue though that I kind of mentioned earlier is that I have never seen Sally here. They let the hecking fire truck drive around and talk to children, but not Sally hecking Carrera, the backbone of this franchise. I'm just tired of it. And like, I like Cars Land, I love Cars Land, but sometimes I get real mad. And I think that can actually transition into my next point, which kind of touches on the emotion of anger. You see, before Cars Land existed, my favorite land was a little place called A Bug's Land, which was a section of California Adventure that was dedicated to the Bug's Life movie. Now, I don't even like that movie that much, in all honesty, but that section of the park was unbelievable, I swear. It seems that since I mentioned A Bug's Land, there's like crickets behind my house now, so I'm sorry if you can hear those. But anyways, this place was amazing. It had a ton of like attractions, and it was really pretty and colorful, and like I loved it. But in 2018, they shut it down to build Avengers Campus. Now I know I've shown a bit of resentment towards this place already, and I want to once again acknowledge that this isn't fair. Like, I've never been there, and I'm a big Marvel fan, so I'm not mad that it exists. I'm just sad because I didn't want Bugs Land to go. Now you might be wondering how this is relevant to Cars Land, and the truth is it mostly isn't. I just kind of wanted to say that if Cars Land ever goes, I will also have to go. As in like die. Especially if they're going to replace it with some buildings that are mediocre looking at best. Okay, I'm sorry. Now I want to say that this is probably unlikely in the first place because I think Cars Land has been a pretty big hit in the 9-ish years it's existed, but we only got like 15 years with Bugs Land, so I don't want to rule anything out. My main point today was that I really like Cars Land, so I hope that message was sent. That was kind of all I wanted to talk about today, so thank you very much for watching. This wasn't like my typical videos really. I think my next one should be more on par. It's just been an interesting couple weeks, but yeah, thank you again very much for watching. If you're a fellow Cars Land enthusiast and you want to continue the discussion, you can leave a comment. You can also like or subscribe. I would also actually recommend my old Sally Carrera video. That's like the most self-promotion I'll ever do, but I just thought you might like it. And yeah, that's it for real. So thank you very much for watching, and I will be seeing you. Bye! It was genuinely such a highlight for me. Stop.